Imagine it's a Sunday afternoon in 2026 and you're standing in an open house, holding a paper cup of lukewarm coffee while pretending not to calculate numbers in your head. The floors are new. The kitchen has that clean, staged look that makes life seem simpler than it is. A couple stands near the island whispering about school districts. Someone else is asking the agent about competing offers. You walk into the backyard and picture summer evenings, barbecues, stability. It feels like adulthood crystallized into architecture. Then your phone buzzes with the mortgage estimate you requested earlier. The monthly payment is higher than your current rent, higher than you expected, higher than what your parents paid for their entire home decades ago. And yet, everyone around you is acting like this is normal. That's the moment the 2026 housing illusion quietly reveals itself. On the surface, home ownership still represents security. It's marketed as stability, investment, legacy. For generations, buying a house was the financial milestone that separated drifting from grounded. It meant you were building equity instead of throwing money away on rent. That narrative still echoes. But in 2026, the numbers beneath the narrative tell a more complicated story. Home prices in many regions have risen far faster than median incomes. Mortgage rates fluctuate in ways that dramatically change affordability. Property taxes adjust upward as assessed values climb. Insurance premiums respond to climate risks and market recalculations. Maintenance costs never pause. The house isn't just a purchase, it's an ongoing financial organism. And yet, the illusion persists because the symbolism is powerful. A home suggests permanence in a culture that feels increasingly unstable. Jobs feel less secure. Markets swing visibly. Technology evolves quickly. Owning property feels like anchoring yourself in something tangible. Even if the math is tight, the psychology is comforting. You're not just buying square footage, you're buying identity. But here's where the tension begins. Many households in 2026 qualify for homes at the very edge of their financial capacity. Lenders approve based on ratios, not on emotional resilience. So families stretch. They justify the stretch because prices have always gone up. They tell themselves they'll refinance later. They assume future raises will make today's payment feel smaller. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. The illusion isn't that homes can't build wealth. It's that every home automatically does. Zoom out and you see the structural shift. Housing used to be primarily shelter with investment potential attached. Now, in many markets, it behaves more like a financial asset first and shelter second. Investors compete with families. Short-term rentals reduce supply. Institutional buyers treat neighborhoods like portfolios. Prices respond not just to local wages, but to global capital flows. So when you walk into that open house, you're not just competing with another couple down the street. You're competing with economic forces far larger than your salary. That competition inflates expectations. If homes appreciate quickly, buyers feel urgency. Urgency justifies stretching. Stretching increases vulnerability. Vulnerability gets normalized because everyone else appears to be doing the same thing. The illusion thrives in collective participation. If everyone is paying a high percentage of income toward housing, it stops feeling extreme. It becomes baseline. But baseline doesn't equal sustainable. The psychological weight of a large mortgage is subtle at first. You move in, you decorate, you celebrate. For a while, pride overshadows pressure. Then real life resumes. The roof needs repair. The tax bill adjusts. Insurance renews at a higher rate. Interest compounds quietly. You realize that a significant portion of your monthly income is permanently allocated to this structure. And because housing is foundational, everything else must orbit around it. Career risks shrink. Geographic flexibility decreases. The idea of stepping back from work feels heavier. The house that symbolized freedom now requires consistent performance to sustain. None of this means renting is automatically superior. Rent can rise unpredictably. Stability is valuable. Equity matters. The illusion isn't about ownership versus renting. It's about equating ownership with guaranteed financial progress. In 2026, that equation depends on timing, location, leverage, and margin. Margin is the part rarely discussed at open houses. Margin is what determines whether a house feels empowering or suffocating. Here's where psychology intersects with finance in a deeper way. When housing consumes a large share of income, it amplifies every other expense. Groceries feel heavier because there's less room. Childcare feels sharper because the baseline is high. Vacations feel indulgent instead of restorative. Even small financial disruptions echo louder. The house doesn't just cost money, it increases the emotional intensity of money. The illusion also feeds on comparison. Social media displays renovated kitchens and landscaped yards as normal achievements. You don't see the debt structures behind them. You don't see the budget trade-offs. You see the finished product. That visibility raises your internal standard for what adulthood should look like. Renting a modest place can feel like stagnation, even if it offers financial flexibility. So people buy not only for shelter, but to align with a cultural script. But here's the powerful realization that shifts perspective. Housing isn't wealth by default, it's leverage, and leverage magnifies both gains and stress. When you buy within your means with substantial margin, a home can be stabilizing. When you buy at your limit because appreciation feels guaranteed, the home becomes a pressure system. The same asset can feel radically different depending on structure. The 2026 housing illusion isn't that homes are bad investments, it's that they're emotionally marketed as simple solutions to complex financial realities. They promise security in an uncertain world, and sometimes they deliver. But security built on thin margins is fragile. True stability isn't just owning property, it's owning it without fear. So, when you stand in that backyard imagining summer evenings, the real question isn't whether the house is beautiful, it's whether the structure of your finances will allow you to enjoy it without constant tension. Because the ultimate goal wasn't to win a bidding war, it was to build a life that doesn't feel like one. And once you see that clearly, the illusion loses its power. You stop chasing the biggest house you can qualify for and start prioritizing the one that protects your freedom. In 2026, that shift from status to structure, from maximum approval to sustainable ownership, is what separates illusion from actual wealth.